What if I told you that the richest person who ever lived accidentally destroyed an entire economy just by being too generous? This isn't some Wall Street scandal or crypto crash. This happened in 1324, and the damage lasted for over a decade. His name was Mansa Musa, emperor of the Mali Empire. And when historians try to calculate his wealth in today's money, they literally give up, because the numbers break the calculator. We're talking about someone who made Jeff Bezos look like he's shopping at a dollar store. But here's what they don't teach you in history class. Mansa Musa didn't just have money. He weaponized it, without even meaning to. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine if Elon Musk decided to take a road trip across America, and at every city, he just started throwing $100 bills out of his car window. Millions of dollars. Billions. In every town. Every day. For months. Sounds amazing, right? Free money for everyone? Wrong. That's exactly what Mansa Musa did. Except instead of dollars, it was gold. Pure, solid gold. And instead of America, it was Cairo, one of the most important economic centers in the medieval world. And he absolutely obliterated their economy. This is the story of history's greatest economic catastrophe, caused by one man's pocket change. And by the end of this, you'll understand why having too much money in the wrong hands isn't just dangerous. It's a weapon of mass economic destruction. Let's go back to 1324. Mansa Musa rules the Mali Empire in West Africa. His kingdom controls the gold mines. Not some gold mines. The gold mines. Mali produced more than half of the world's gold supply at that time. Think about that for a second. One empire. Half the world's gold. In today's terms, imagine if one person owned half of all the Bitcoin, half of all the oil, and half of all the microchips on Earth. That's Mansa Musa's economic position. But it's not just about the gold in the ground. It's about the infrastructure, the supply chains, the trade routes. The entire West African gold trade flows through Mali, and Mansa Musa controls every ounce of it. His capital city, Niani, is a fortress of wealth. The royal palace is described by travelers as having walls decorated with gold. Not gold paint, actual gold. Gold leaf covering entire surfaces, gold fixtures, gold furniture. When Musa holds court, he sits on a throne made of ebony and ivory, wearing robes woven with gold thread, surrounded by officials carrying golden staffs, under parasols made of silk and adorned with golden birds. This isn't just rich. This is a different category of wealth entirely. This is wealth that defies comprehension. And he's about to go on the most expensive vacation in human history. Being a devout Muslim, Musa decides to make the Hajj, the pilgrimage to Mecca. But this isn't just a spiritual journey. This is a flex, the greatest flex in human history. He assembles a caravan of 60,000 people. Let that number sink in. 60,000. That's not a pilgrimage. That's a moving city. Soldiers, officials, servants, slaves, merchants, scholars, musicians, cooks, physicians. An entire civilization on the move. 12,000 of them are personal servants, wearing Persian silk and carrying golden staffs. Each staff weighs about 4 pounds of solid gold. Do the math on that. 12,000 staffs, 4 pounds each. That's 48,000 pounds of gold, just in decorative walking sticks for the servants. Then there are the camels, 80 camels, each one carrying 300 pounds of pure gold dust. Let me repeat that, because it sounds insane. 80 camels, each carrying 300 pounds of gold. That's 24,000 pounds of gold. In 2025 terms, at roughly $2,000 per ounce, we're talking about $768 million just in the camel cargo. And that's not even counting what Musa himself is carrying. or what his officials have, or the treasure in the supply wagons, or the gold jewelry everyone is wearing, or the gold coins they're using for expenses along the way. Conservative estimates suggest the total wealth in this caravan would be worth somewhere between $400 billion to $600 billion today. Some historians argue it could be even higher. One man on a pilgrimage with $500 billion. The caravan travels for months across the Sahara Desert, and everywhere they stop, Musa does the same thing. He gives away gold, lots of it, to the poor, to mosques, to random people on the street, to anyone who asks, to anyone who doesn't ask, to anyone who happens to be standing nearby. It's not charity, it's showing off. Medieval psychological warfare. Look how rich I am. I can literally give away fortunes and not even notice. Every city they pass through, Musa leaves behind a trail of gold. Small towns that had never seen wealth suddenly have more gold than they know what to do with. It's like an economic bomb going off in slow motion across North Africa. Then they arrive in Cairo, July 1324. And this is where everything breaks. Cairo in the 14th century is massive. It's sophisticated. It's cosmopolitan. The population is probably around 500,000 people, making it one of the largest cities on Earth. It's the economic heart of the Middle East, a trading hub connecting Africa, Asia, and Europe. Merchants from Venice, Constantinople, Baghdad, Damascus, and beyond all do business here. The Mamluks rule Egypt, and they're no strangers to wealth and power. They've built an empire. They control trade routes. They've seen powerful rulers from across the known world. They've seen gold before, a lot of gold. But they've never seen this. Mansa Musa enters Cairo like an economic hurricane. His caravan stretches for miles. The sound of 60,000 people marching with camels, horses, and wagons can be heard from miles away. The Mamluk Sultan, Al-Nasir Muhammad, initially doesn't even want to meet Musa. There's a protocol issue. Musa is supposed to bow and kiss the ground before the Sultan. But Musa refuses. He says he only bows to Allah. This is a power move. This is Musa saying, "I'm so rich and so powerful, I don't need your approval." Eventually, they work out a compromise. They meet. They exchange gifts. And the gifts Musa brings, they're worth more than the Egyptian treasury. Musa stays in Cairo for 3 months, and every single day, he's spending gold, buying supplies, buying souvenirs, paying for lodging for 60,000 people, tipping servants, donating to mosques, funding construction projects, but mostly just giving it away. He's handing out gold to everyone he encounters: merchants, beggars, officials, scholars, random people on the street. One account describes him throwing gold coins to crowds of people who gather wherever he goes. Another describes him paying for goods with gold dust, measured by the handful, vastly overpaying for everything. He buys properties. He donates to every mosque in the city. He funds building projects. He commissions art and architecture. Money is flowing through Cairo like water, like a broken dam. Now here's where the economics get interesting. And by interesting, I mean catastrophic. Gold is valuable because it's scarce. That's basic economics. Supply and demand. When something rare becomes common, its value drops. But what Musa does isn't a normal market fluctuation. This is flooding the zone. This is dumping so much gold into Cairo's economy that the entire monetary system breaks. Think about it like this. Imagine if tomorrow someone dropped 1 billion iPhones into your city for free, just giving them away on every street corner. What happens to the price of iPhones? It collapses. Why would anyone pay $1,000 for an iPhone when you can get one free on the corner? That's what Musa did to gold in Cairo. Except gold isn't just a luxury item. Gold is the money. Gold is the currency. Gold is how you measure value, store wealth, conduct trade. Gold is the foundation of the entire economic system. When you destroy the value of gold, you destroy everything. Within weeks, gold begins to lose significant value in Cairo's markets. Merchants who used to trade goods for specific amounts of gold suddenly find that gold buys less. A loaf of bread that cost 1 gold coin now costs 2, then 3, then 5. This is inflation in its purest form. Too much money chasing the same amount of goods. But here's the truly insidious part. It's not just Cairo. The effect ripples outward through the entire Mediterranean and Middle Eastern trade network. Gold traders travel. Merchants talk. Letters are sent. Word spreads across the region. The gold market is flooded. Cairo's gold is worthless. Adjust your prices accordingly. Trading houses in Alexandria, Damascus, Baghdad, and even as far as Venice start adjusting their exchange rates. The entire regional economy has to recalibrate. By the time Mansa Musa leaves Cairo, gold has lost approximately 20 to 30% of its value across the entire region. Some historians argue the devaluation was even more severe in certain markets. Now think about what that means for ordinary people. If you are a merchant who had your life savings stored in gold, the standard practice, you just lost a quarter of your wealth. Overnight, because some foreign emperor decided to show off. If you're a farmer who just sold your harvest and got paid in gold coins, your money is now worth significantly less. The grain you need to buy for next season costs more. The tools you need to purchase are suddenly out of reach. If you're a craftsman, your wages are suddenly worthless. The gold coins you earned last month building furniture or weaving cloth, they're worth 30% less this month. Your rent hasn't changed, but your purchasing power has collapsed. If you're a merchant who extended credit in gold, you're getting paid back in devalued currency. You made a loan worth 100 gold coins. You get paid back 100 gold coins. But those coins now buy 30% less. This is hyperinflation, medieval style. And it gets worse, because inflation doesn't affect everyone equally. The wealthy and the political elite, they can adapt. They have diversified assets. They have property. They have goods. They have connections. They can shift their wealth into other forms. They can wait out the storm. The Mamluk sultans own land, vast estates, buildings. They collect taxes in multiple forms, not just gold, but also grain, cloth, livestock. The ultra-wealthy merchants have warehouses full of goods, spices, textiles, ceramics, real assets that hold value regardless of what happens to gold. But the common people? They're destroyed. The laborer who gets paid in gold coins at the end of the week has no safety net, no assets to fall back on. When his wages lose value, he loses everything. The widow, living on her deceased husband's savings, watches her money become worthless. She can't afford food. She can't pay rent. The young craftsman who saved for years to start his own business finds his savings are now insufficient. His dream is destroyed by factors completely beyond his control. For the next 10 to 12 years, Cairo and the surrounding region experience economic chaos. Bread prices fluctuate wildly. Trade becomes unpredictable. Businesses fail. Poverty spreads. People who were middle class become destitute. Families that were comfortable find themselves struggling. The social fabric begins to tear. Historical records from the period describe widespread hardship. Egyptian chroniclers write about the economic disruption. The gold crisis is mentioned in texts for decades afterward, all because one man had too much money and didn't understand, or didn't care, what happens when you flood a market. Now, here's where this gets really dark. And this is the part that shows Mansa Musa wasn't just careless. He understood power. Mansa Musa eventually figures out what he's done. On his way back from Mecca, he passes through Cairo again. And the damage is already visible. The economy is in shambles. Prices are chaos. People are suffering. So what does he do? He tries to fix it by borrowing back the gold at high interest rates. Let me say that again. Mansa Musa tries to buy back the gold he gave away. And he does it by taking out loans from Cairo's money changers at interest. Think about the economic genius or the cruelty of this move. First, you crash someone's economy by giving away too much gold, devaluing their currency and savings. Then, when they're desperate, when gold is devalued and they need liquidity, you borrow that devalued gold from them. You're essentially buying back your own gold at a discount, because the gold is now worth less than when you gave it away, and you're promising to pay it back with interest, in gold that will hopefully have regained value by the time you repay. It's like setting someone's house on fire, then buying their property at fire sale prices, then renting it back to them at a premium. Some historians view this as an attempt at damage control. Musa trying to take gold back out of circulation to stabilize the market. Others see it as market manipulation. Musa recognizing an opportunity to profit from the chaos he created. Either way, it doesn't really fix the problem. The damage is done. The gold supply in Cairo is permanently altered. Trust in the currency is shaken. The market takes years to stabilize, and thousands of ordinary families never financially recover. This is the part they don't tell you in the feel-good stories about Mansa Musa's generosity and his legendary pilgrimage. Because here's the truth. Extreme wealth isn't just about having money. It's about having power. Economic power. The power to shape markets, to influence prices, to determine who eats and who starves. And when that power is wielded carelessly, even with good intentions, it destroys lives. Let's bring this into 2025, because this isn't ancient history. This is happening right now. When Elon Musk tweets about Dogecoin or Bitcoin, the prices swing wildly. Billions of dollars in value appear or disappear based on his words. Regular people make or lose their savings because one billionaire decided to post something online at 3 in the morning. In 2021, Musk's tweets about Dogecoin caused the cryptocurrency to spike by thousands of percentage points. People bought in, thinking they'd get rich. Then, when Musk appeared on Saturday Night Live and called Dogecoin a hustle, the price crashed. Ordinary investors lost billions. Was Musk trying to hurt people? Probably not. But intention doesn't matter when the result is regular people losing their rent money. When Jeff Bezos sells Amazon stock, it impacts the entire market. When any ultra-wealthy individual makes a major financial move, there are ripple effects across the global economy. In 2022, when Bezos sold billions in Amazon stock, it triggered algorithmic selling and affected pension funds, retirement accounts, and ordinary investors who had nothing to do with Amazon, but were caught in the wave. People lose jobs. Retirement funds fluctuate. Lives change because of decisions made in boardrooms by people who will never feel the consequences. This is the Mansa Musa effect in modern form. The difference is that today's billionaires usually understand the impact they have. They have teams of economists and advisors. They have lawyers and strategists. They know that their actions move markets. But do they care about the people at the bottom? The ordinary workers whose wages don't keep up with inflation caused partly by the concentration of wealth at the top? The families priced out of housing markets because billionaires and hedge funds buy up residential properties as investments, driving up prices beyond what ordinary people can afford. The small businesses crushed when mega corporations undercut prices, operating at a loss specifically to drive competitors out of business, then raising prices once they have a monopoly? Mansa Musa didn't mean to cause suffering. He thought he was being generous. He was sharing his wealth. He was being charitable. But intention doesn't matter when the result is economic devastation. Here's the lesson that economists have been studying for 700 years. Monetary policy matters. Supply and demand matters. And when one individual controls too much of a resource, whether it's medieval gold or modern market share, they have the power to destabilize entire systems. The Federal Reserve spends enormous effort managing money supply, trying to prevent inflation, trying to stabilize markets. They raise interest rates. They lower interest rates. They buy bonds. They sell bonds. Why? Because they learned from disasters like Mansa Musa's Cairo catastrophe and the countless other examples throughout history of what happens when money supply gets out of control. Too much money in circulation? Hyperinflation. Like what happened in Zimbabwe, where inflation got so bad that they printed a $100 trillion bill, and it wasn't enough to buy groceries. Like Venezuela, where the currency became so worthless that people started weighing cash instead of counting it. Like Weimar Germany in the 1920s, where people needed wheelbarrows full of cash to buy bread, and children played with stacks of worthless bills like building blocks. Too little money in circulation, deflation, and depression. Like the 1930s, when the economy ground to a halt, banks failed, and unemployment reached 25%. It's a delicate balance, and one person with unlimited wealth can tip the scales. Mansa Musa's pilgrimage is legendary. It put Mali on the map, literally. European cartographers started including Mali on their maps after word of Musa's wealth spread. It established him as one of history's great rulers. Books and documentaries celebrate his incredible wealth and his contributions to Islamic scholarship and architecture. But they rarely talk about the people he hurt. The families in Cairo who couldn't afford bread because prices had tripled. The merchants who lost their businesses because the value of their inventory collapsed along with the value of gold. The workers whose wages became worthless overnight. The children who went hungry because their parents' savings evaporated. They don't have statues. They don't have stories. Their names aren't recorded in history books. They're just collateral damage in the tale of the richest man who ever lived. And that's the real story here. Wealth at this scale isn't neutral. It's not just a number in a bank account or a pile of gold in a vault. It's influence. It's control. It's the power to shape reality for millions of people. When handled responsibly, with understanding and care, it can build civilizations. It can fund innovation. It can improve lives. When handled carelessly, or when concentrated in the hands of those who don't understand its impact, it destroys them. Mansa Musa built mosques and libraries. He funded scholars and artists. He expanded Timbuktu into one of the great centers of learning in the world, with universities that attracted students from across Africa, the Middle East, and even Europe. His legacy includes the Jingareber Mosque, the Sankora Madrasa, and countless other architectural achievements. But his legacy also includes economic ruin for hundreds of thousands of people who never asked for his generosity. So the next time you hear about a billionaire's philanthropy, or a wealthy individual's charitable donation, or some tech mogul's promise to solve world hunger or climate change, ask yourself, what's the real impact? Are they solving problems or creating new ones? Are they empowering communities or creating dependency? Are they stabilizing markets or manipulating them for their own benefit? Are they sharing power or consolidating it? Because history teaches us that the richest person in the room isn't always the most helpful. Sometimes they're the most dangerous. Mansa Musa returned to Mali still unimaginably wealthy. His kingdom continued to prosper. The gold mines kept producing. The trade routes kept flowing. For him, the Cairo incident was probably just a footnote, an oops moment on an otherwise successful trip, a minor miscalculation. He went home to his golden palace. He continued his reign. He died peacefully years later, one of the most successful rulers in African history. But for the people of Cairo and the broader Middle Eastern trade network, it was a decade of hardship, a generation scarred by economic chaos they didn't cause and couldn't control. That's the privilege of extreme wealth. You can cause a catastrophe and walk away unscathed, while everyone else picks up the pieces. In 2025, we live in a world where a handful of individuals control more wealth than entire nations, where billionaires have the GDP of countries sitting in their investment portfolios. The combined wealth of the world's 10 richest people is over $1 trillion. That's more than the GDP of most countries on Earth. And just like in 1324, that concentration of wealth has consequences. Market volatility, wealth inequality, economic instability, political influence, the erosion of democracy itself when money can buy elections and policies. The tools have changed. The scale has changed. The mechanisms are more complex, but the fundamental problem remains the same. When one person has too much, everyone else has too little. And when that person makes a mistake or makes a calculated move for their own benefit, everyone else pays the price. Mansa Musa's story is a warning from history, a cautionary tale that spans 7 centuries but remains urgently relevant today. Wealth isn't just about what you have, it's about what you can destroy. And sometimes, the richest person in the world is the most dangerous person in the world, even if they don't mean to be, even if they think they're helping, even if they believe their wealth makes them wise. The road to economic hell is paved with golden intentions.